welcome to our session. I'm Luke Schultheis. This is Sam Fugozzotto. He's from UNLV. I'm with myFootpath, and we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit and then go into some discussions on re-enrolling adults. And we'll be interested in perspectives or viewpoints from where you are, and we'll see how we can take it from there and take the information back to people you know and that kind of a thing. So go ahead, Sam.
Hi. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Sam Fugozzotto, as Luke said. I'm with the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I've been there for 5 years come August, and before that I was at Teachers College at Columbia University in New York City.
And what are you doing over at UNLV?
Oh, I'm the registrar there. I'm very interested in, obviously, just enrollment management in general, but one of the things that's been kind of on my back burner, moving to front burner, is what we do with the students that, seem to start attending and then they kind of fall off. It's been something we've been struggling with for really a long time now, and we're beginning to look at how we can be more strategic and recruiting them back to UNLV.
Awesome. So, hello. Just a little scope on what's going on today, and probably not surprises, but it's helpful to see the big picture. We've got these, it used to be called like an iron triangle. We need more people, we need more money, we need more of this and more of that, and we had a lot of constraints. But today what's being forced on institutions, except for the most part the top tiers, are these four that we're struggling with. And just kind of going around briefly, the value proposition for financial pressure, how much are people really willing to reach into their pockets? And you'd say with that, you could probably include the opportunity cost. How much is it costing me to spend my time to go to an institution? Most people aren't thinking it's going to be 6 years to get a baccalaureate degree. They're thinking 4, and that's a lot. But it's taking, as we know, 60% of the people 6 years or more to complete their degrees. The enrollment challenges, the cliff's coming. We've known this for years. But we didn't expect a pandemic, and we didn't expect a sudden questioning of the value proposition. So today, lots fewer students going to school for a variety of reasons. So what's that doing to large degree is allowing the flagships and the top tiers to kind of thrive because they're able to do that. They've got, legacy, and the regionals, and we'll call them places where you might have 2 flagships, starting to suffer quite a bit. And so there's a lot of poaching. I'm sure you see advertisements up around your campuses from other sister institutions. I live up by Michigan State, and if I drive like 1 mile in any direction, I'll see ads for Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, and this kind of stuff. And it's kind of silly when it's all in the same state and they're all publics. The technology roadblocks, we were in a discussion with someone the other night who was just talking about, like 15 different solutions they have for everything, and they don't have the bandwidth of people to be able to manage the systems, let alone assess what's going on and make adjustments and making sure everything's clean and that type of stuff. And finally, accessing the data. We come in, I see you looking. Who have we got? A lot of the enrollment management operations don't have dedicated research analysts, if you will. So we've got IR operations that have also been stripped down to the bone. And if the president calls up IR and wants something, that's going to happen, and we kind of get bumped back in the queue. Sam, any of these resonate with you at UNLV?
A lot of them do. I mean, we've been fortunate that we have a lot of, a fair amount of in-migration in Nevada, so we're not as susceptible to let me get up and talk. I feel silly sitting like that. We're not maybe going as far off the cliff, I think, as, Ohio, frankly, or some of the Northeast and Midwestern states for sure. Some of the things that Luke was saying about technological roadblocks, funding challenges in Nevada, like many other states. These are all things that are, weigh heavily on us in our division in enrollment management at UNLV for sure.
Thanks. Just a little look-see. We've got Maryland in the house. Where's most of your work taking you?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? Okay, we know how that state's enjoying life. Mm-hmm. And what area?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania also, okay. So probably not a surprise to see, the deep red there for those states. Lots of discussion about, as you know, consolidation and what are we going to do. Some states have gone through this already. Georgia's one of them. What we've seen in states like that is, you may have taken off a top level of administration, but that didn't, solve for a lot of problems. So it's a really scary kind of situation presently. And then if we look forward, it gets a little bit more alarming. So there are some states where growth is predicted to continue. And several of these states you see are in the West and in the South, where we'll have an increase of the Latino market graduating from high school. The challenge is that population tends to participate at a lower rate than other populations, and they tend to be loan averse. So it's going to be a real challenge for institutions moving forward, because especially up in the Northeast and where I'm from in southern Canada, also known as Michigan, it's everyone trying to get all the same students. So when I say the same students, we're primarily talking about first-time, full-time traditional high school graduates. And then there's the transfer market that no one's not right, but it hasn't been mastered yet. Now, you've got a pretty good relationship with College of Southern Nevada, I believe.
We do.
You want to talk a little bit about that for a second?
Sure. College of Southern Nevada is, they serve all of Clark County, which is like that lower tip of Nevada. We have a number of articulation, and they're basically our local community college. They are our local community college, as I said, we have their articulation agreements with. We have a lot of students moving back and forth, our students taking classes there and vice versa, and we have a lot of transfers in, or students who earn associate degrees and then they want to come to us and finish off a baccalaureate degree, or not even finish an associate's degree there and they come to us. So we have very close relationships with CSN as well as with other sister institutions in the state of Nevada.
Cool. One of the issues we know with community colleges in general is graduation rates are really low, just breaking double digits. At CSN, I used to work at UNLV way back, and I remember when there was such demand that they were offering health classes like overnight. And those kind of things aren't happening so much anymore. And a lot of the students that get channeled in don't get the support. And there's tons of research that suggests you should start at the institution from which you'd like to complete your degree for all kinds of reasons, social capital and things like that. So it's certainly a challenging environment if we keep addressing it the same way we have been. Just looking at the scope, we were talking to someone the other day about stop outs in a particular state, and that individual suggested, I think we've probably got about 100,000 stop outs in our state, and it was up in the Northeast. And we said, you're way off. Look at this picture here. And you're a pretty populated state. So it's a lot more than 100,000. It's more like 1 million they had in their state. And so the scope of it isn't something we tend to look at our institutions. So we know, maybe our 4-year graduation rate is 60%. And we're not thinking about how that 40% has compounded over time. It's a lot of people. So recent, 2.3 million. 40.4 have some credit, no credential. And then we've got a ton more who have, been admitted to an institution, didn't start to add to that. So it's a really huge number. So we want to talk a little bit about student demographics in these populations. Sam, can you kick us off just a little bit of the UNLV student, what they're like?
Sure. We are, our enrollment in recent years fall enrollment has been at around 30,000. I think we cracked 31,000 this past fall. We have about high 60s, low 70, up to 71% of our students identify as minority. 1 in 3 of our students, about a third, have come from a family where they're the very first in their families to set foot on a college campus. We have a high percentage of adult learners. We have a majority female, I want to say like 57% female. And I would say we're kind of at the early stages of looking at our stop out population, looking at the, think about the previous slide. I ran some numbers for my boss. We are beginning to look at this just now. If you look at kind of recent stop outs, and for us, we defined recent as last attended about, 3 to up to 1 year ago. We had, low 2,000-ish or something like that, maybe 1,500, I can't remember which, but that low number. But if you expand it to, for as long as we've been on PeopleSoft, which is our current student information system, it's a huge number. I mean, there's a lot of students who came to us and just they walked away with no degree at all. So our demographics, our stop-outs largely mirror, I guess, with, track with the national data.
Thanks. So when we're looking at the different populations to bring back to an institution, the one we've been alluding to first is that one in the top left-hand corner. Students, first-time full-timers, left the institution. But there are another 9 populations that can be grouped into this bucket, if you will. And you can kind of read through them. It includes the folks who've transferred from other institutions. Sometimes we forget about the upper division, and the graduate students. Folks who have completed a degree, haven't returned for another degree would benefit from that, the no starts, and just so on. So there's a really significant population that it presents a big challenge for an institution to get their hands around. One of them is big enough, the stop-outs freshman is a big enough thing to try to chew on. But when you combine all these different populations, it could be pretty overwhelming to be able to dedicate staff, resources, communication tools, technology, and all that sort of stuff to be able to bring people back. I didn't mention I've had a career in enrollment management, served at UNLV, Michigan State, Virginia Commonwealth, Fairleigh Dickinson. And this was always something, because at all of those institutions, the goal's always been, we need a few more students, because that's how we're going to pay for faculty raises or cleaning up the auditorium or whatever it is. It's on the enrollment managers. Bring them in and hold on to them. So we'd try stuff, but there's no way in the world we'd have enough people to be able to dedicate, because part of the pressures have also been reaching people before they're, let's say, high school seniors, right? You want to plant the seed when they're a junior, and then you get pressure to go earlier on. And the time someone develops predisposition to participate in higher ed is actually 6th grade. Does anyone reach out to 6th graders? Do you?
Yeah, we have an early outreach team.
Look at that. All right, so we're signing up for that. Some tips afterwards. There aren't a lot of resources to do this kind of stuff. So it's hard enough to be able to fill up, our fall class, because at the end of the day, that's, it's what have you done for me lately? And if we go before our board and say, hey, we, talked to 300, 9th graders, no one cares about that. They care about how many you're bringing in the front door and how many you're keeping. So Sam's going to take us through 2 kind of brief discussions. One is on what do you need to think about if you want to bring back students to your institution? And the second part is, how many people do you need to involve to be able to make this effort move forward?
Okay. I want to preface this, first of all, I'm not an expert. We are, as I said, at the beginning stages of looking at re-engaging our kind of stop-out population. That's sort of preface piece number 1. Preface piece number 2, I really believe that this is the right thing to do. We're not enrolling people to just enroll them. We do ultimately want them to persist and graduate. So if you take away nothing from what I'm saying, at least, think of it as the right thing to do. In terms of things to think about, we've begun looking at overall numbers and, names, et cetera, looking at ways to recruit people back. We have an initiative called RAD to Grad, which is readmit to graduate. We are focusing kind of our initial efforts on people who appear to be closer to getting a baccalaureate degree. To us, it seemed like low-hanging fruit. So you figure a baccalaureate degree in most cases requires about 120 credits. We focused kind of on the students who accumulated 90 credits or more and looking at recruiting them back. We cross-referenced our PeopleSoft data with National Student Clearinghouse data to see who may have enrolled at other institutions. Those are things you can think about as you parse your data. You will, those of you, especially if you're in the registrar's office, you will know data points to look at for your students, markers for how to identify people who maybe are a little bit more likely to come back and persist than others. We've done that. I think our next stop, I guess, would be to look at people who are maybe freshmen, sophomores who stop out and where they are and getting them back and maybe going further back than the 3-year mark. We'll have to see about that. One of the things that we've struggled with is, 90 credits or whatever. That's a good kind of a very, it's almost like a blunt instrument when you maybe need more of a scalpel, I guess. What we've not kind of gotten our arms around is looking at our degree audit data to see, who has 3 courses left or whatever it is. Depends on how it's encoded in your degree audit system. That's kind of our next phase of our journey to try and reengage these individuals and get them back and re-enrolled. In terms of multiple stakeholder responsibilities, I think that, I can speak for or tell a similar story to what's happening on a lot of your campuses. This is not just an enrollment kind of the enrollment show, the enrollment management show, the admissions of the registrars show. You really do need support from academic advisors, faculty, everyone on campus to get students back and to keep them, you can have sort of the snazziest presentations for your admissions team, either to recruit first-time students or to bring back students who have stopped out. But if their support services that they need when they do re-enroll kind of fall through and don't meet their expectations, you're going to lose them. So you really do need to work kind of internally on getting a broad coalition of campus stakeholders on board with what you're doing.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
I'm going to spend the next 2 minutes taking us through a cycle that myFootpath helps provide a solution for that addresses a lot, I think, of what Sam's been describing is kind of universal challenges with this. When we come on as a partner to an institution, the first part's just like he said, we're pouring through 20 years of data, we're pushing it against the clearinghouse to see who's welcome back, who's completed degrees and where. We look at the holds you may have placed on them, discuss that with the institution, come back with a corpus of let's call them available people, and begin marketing to them in different segments. So you may have students who, let's pretend, started a nursing program 15 years ago. They're probably not welcome back into a nursing program today because some of the science has changed. So we've got different populations. The marketing comes under your brand, so it'll appear to be coming from Towson or wherever the case is. Once someone raises their hand, we've got a cadre of full-time staff that will work with them to help them facilitate their admission back into the institution, get their transcripts for them, help them get things articulated through the right offices, be able to direct them through the financial aid process. And then once they're enrolled, stick with them and provide coaching, a lot of it based on some assessments we've done of student grit when they were coming in the first door, because it's critical we just don't have people come back. It's critical that they graduate. Real quick case study, I think, that speaks to this, and this is just one of several institutions. Northern Arizona, 4-year project right there. You can see year 1, and it just compounds. So we've brought back over 2,500 students to this institution, resulting in a net tuition contribution of over $21 million. And they're able to allocate that to whatever part of the enterprise they deem most important to help support students. So that's a nice surprise for an institution, especially when we're struggling with each other. Quick look at their funnel. What we identified was there were that many people eligible to return. And so certainly if I was working there, I'd say, I don't think I can handle that. I don't think I've got the staff to be able to figure out where they live and how to reach them and go through all those aforementioned processes. But again, we go through each of those steps, and it ended up generating a really highly qualified group of about 15,000 who are raising their hands saying, yeah, I want to come back to the institution. So it's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it by dedicated full-time professionals. When we looked at UNLV, and this is a swag here, we looked at their student enrollment and compared it with other institutions of like size. And we'd guess, we don't know this for sure because we've gone through a few SIS changes, CRM changes, and things like that. Probably roughly about 1 million people out there to be reaching out to and seeing who's going to raise their hand and be eligible. Generating down bottom a pool we believe to be qualified of probably about 630,000 individuals, resulting in probably about 25,000 folk who are, really seriously able to be considered for readmission to the program. In your experience, real quick, Sam, how quickly would it take, the institution to get to 25,000? Are you at 10,000? Are you at 1,000? Are you at 2?
Be a while. Yeah.
Okay. And this is what we do with each institution is we'll look through this, and I'll show you in the last slide or two how we go about that. The process there again, we aside from just going through the funnel and squeezing that, we work with the institution to look at their processes, help you evaluate how many hiccups exist in the system. You can imagine if an adult wants to come back, it may not be so easy to find out how do I do that, what office do I go to, what do I need, and once I get approved for something, what do I do next? And if there's not someone coaching you along the way, it can be a really difficult kind of venture. But you know, you can see some serious improvements here, and that was due to the work of you know, working directly with the policy implementers and the people processing the work. One of the stages that we'll conduct when we work with an institution, the first one is after discussion, is come out for a one-day opportunity assessment. It's an immersion day where we'll meet with the stakeholders, understand your data, your holds, for example, who would be welcome back, academic pathways, who's responsible for what. We take tests through that tunnel, and look at your data and are able to come back to you with a pretty darn accurate number of this is how many students you could expect to come back this fall and over the next 4 years. And we can, we've got a formula where we can take your various levels. Remember there's 10 pieces of the bucket? They've each got a different tuition level associated to them. So we're able to kind of combine it, get an average, and project out what kind of tuition revenue you can be expecting over the next several years. So it's a great model. It's an easy thing to do. You can scan us up to look at our re-engagement page. We can answer questions for you now.